Thank you, PJ. It is time for another edition of the Parent and Spare podcast. I'm Justin Gaard from The Fan. We've got Chip Scoggins from the Minnesota Star Tribune and Ryan Burns from GopherIllustrated.com. We are presented, as always, by our great partners at Jack's Cafe. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you don't know what the website is, you don't know how to spell Jack's, we lay it out there right there for you. JacksCafe.com, JAXCafe.com. They were responsible for a father and son storming the field on Friday night. First Gopher game experience, great seats from Jack's, and a field storm to boot. I think I sent you all the picture, including Bill, but you'll love to see it, as the kids say, Burnsy. You'll love to see it. Jack's Cafe helping make, hopefully, core memories. I believe the email to me was core memory unlocked. Thanks again, Parent and Spare and Jack's Cafe. Not bad, Burnsy.
All we do on this podcast is serve and give. You often say that. Chip often says that, and I'm just here to be a steward for it.
I appreciate when Chip texts us every day, family, forget about me. I love you. That's been
first thing you wake up to every morning, right?
It's so nice because I wake up and my kids are mad because I let them sleep in, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I let you sleep in because you were out late at basketball last night. And I just thought you needed your full 8 hours. I'm getting yelled at, because he's not going to be ready for school and it's my fault. And then I look down at my phone and Chip just always reassuring, forget about me. I love you. Family, the Parent and Spare family. All right. Why were they on the field, you say? Because the Gophers put together their finest performance of the season, knocking off the very predictably ranked at 5-1, 25th ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers. Birdie's shaking his head.
God.
We're going to get to the Nebraska side of things.
Yeah, we'll get to your grievances.
24-6 was the final. Pretty authoritative, Chipper, pretty comprehensive, and defensively, I think we have to start there.
Yeah.
Pretty damn impressive, especially coming off the week that was Purdue, where looked like Drew Brees and Mike Allstott were back to Joe Tiller. Pretty impressive victory on Friday night.
Yeah, and I said last week on this podcast that when we were talking about PJ's record against Nebraska and how he's kind of owned them, and my recollection was a lot of those wins were because they beat them up in the trenches. They were just the more physical team in the trenches. And on cue, to me, that's what that game came down to. When you get 9 sacks and you don't give up a sack and you have a 98-yard drive, you're winning the trenches. And to me, the signature play of that game, that if you said, give me one play that describes how this game went, it's Kingsbury absolutely obliterating Emmett Johnson on a blitz. Emmett stood in there and tried to pick it up, got knocked backwards, and Kingsbury still gets the sack. That was how that game went. They were just the more physical team. And I don't know if you heard Matt Rule's, a lot of his comments afterwards. It's like they basically reiterated it, and so did all Nebraska writers. Like they just absolutely got bullied. And credit to PJ for having his players ready, and credit to the players for stepping up to the challenge, because they just have not been, I don't think, physical enough. But we'll start with the defense. The line was a story. I mean, you get 8 or 9 sacks from your defense line. And Burns, I'm sure you looked at PFF. I don't know how many missed tackles they had, but it didn't seem like that was a problem at all either.
They still had double digits, and that's going to be something we'll talk about looking at the Iowa game. But
I feel like a lot of them were on like 4 plays. You know what I mean?
I
feel like Emmett Johnson broke like 7 in one little play that gained like 10 yards. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting defense because I never know what to expect. I mean, I don't know how you can project forward on this team, on this defense specifically. You look at that game against Rutgers, 7 sacks. All right, then you go to Ohio State, 0. Seemingly Ohio State does that to everybody, so throw it out. And then last week, 2 weeks ago against Purdue, 45 dropbacks, 0 sacks. And then you set a program record the following week. I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, I wish I could give you some great analysis on the side about it, but it comes down to this defensive line wanted to show up. Chip mentioned my favorite play of the game, which is Emmett Johnson being knocked back to Richfield, but knocked back all the way to Holy Angels for all the talk about he had that game circled on the calendar. I also just think, what has to happen for Matt Rule or a Nebraska head coach to take Minnesota seriously? All right, I know that's like a whole different discussion,
Yeah.
but Minnesota
derailing
always
right
gets
out of
up
the
for this
gate.
game.
Yep.
They had played their least physical game of the entire season 6 days prior, and Fleck gets them going. Nebraska comes in thinking they can walk in. I know it's a 1-point game at halftime, but you get 17-0 in the second half where this thing is come and gone. And now you got Anthony Smith leading the Big Ten in sacks. You've got Carter Menz, West Fargo, stand up. He's got 4, I think, in his 4 Big Ten games as well. I also think Raiola holds the ball way too long, and he tries to make way too many plays, or there was even an opportunity where he saw Jackson Howard rushing at him, and he curled up into the fetal position and said, "No, thank you, sir. I've been hit enough today."
Well,
that was Brett Favre, Michael Strahan.
That was
Brett Favre, Michael Strahan for those old enough.
Yeah, the Raiola. I mean, he certainly deserves a lot of the blame, and there's a fine line between hanging in there and trying to let guys get open and being dumb. And I felt like he was on the wrong side of that. I mean, yes, he can sometimes do something, throw a left-handed pass, wonderful, but he was not a winning quarterback in terms of, he put his offense in bad spots all night by holding on the ball too long and allowing those sacks. And so part of his offensive line wasn't physical enough, and I think part of it was on the quarterback.
I also think the left tackle thing, he goes out for targeting, which I don't know. I don't know that I've seen that too many times in my career.
Which is absolutely the right call. What a dumb play that was. I mean, to take a free shot at a guy on the ground. I mean, come on.
So you lose your left tackle. There's some other injuries on the offensive line for Nebraska, but you were manhandled for 60 minutes. And Danny Collins, who even on Wednesday prior to that game, he's been hearing, as PJ Fleck would say, the external noise.
Yeah,
is that he was making comments about, I know a lot of people don't like my acronyms, Havoc, Atlas, whatever. Well, guess what? They work, and I believe in them. So you're going to see. Well, he kept the receipts, and he got rewarded for it.
Well, credit for making tackling an emphasis, right? I know you guys talked to the players about it after the game, and they were kind of laughing about how long they tackled at a particular practice last week, and they needed to, right? And I remember when PJ fired Rob Smith, RIP, who's doing great things at Rutgers. I can't wait to see what his next job is. They gave up 400 points to Oregon.
They gave up 750 yards to Oregon. That is not
that's
hyperbole.
Not an exaggeration.
I have never seen that before. 750 total yards were given up, and the man still's got a job.
What was Shiano's quote? We did the best we could.
Yeah. I'm not sure you did. But I remember being at practice the next week when the Joe Rossi era began, and PJ himself was leading like a team-wide tackling fundamental circuit. It was like you were going to, first day of 9th grade two-a-days, like how basic they were breaking it down. And it was, I don't remember the time. I just remember it being longer than most practice periods are. And PJ himself was basically leading it with the whistles, right? Like, from the top down, the message was being delivered. We have to do this better. And before we do anything else, we're going to do this and we're going to get it right. I'm not saying that last week was that dramatic. I wasn't at this practice that had the 20-minute tackling circuit. I think that was on Tuesdays, but I feel like it was something similar, and because they needed to, right? I mean, the tackling was 100%. Atrocious. The tackling, the missed tackles, missed spots, 6-yard gains instead of 3. And I thought the first play of the game, by the way, the Kingsbury thing on the radio, I described my reaction as holy hell. I think that was the appropriate reaction. And I got Grim to laugh like you did right there. I said, guys, the only thing I can say is holy hell. I was 15 yards away from it. It was absurd. And just the energy boost that it gave everybody. And I saw Kingsbury in the hallway after, and he enjoyed that one. I'm sure he's watched it a time or two. But they had to I don't even know what my train of thought was because I got sidetracked. The first play of the game, because that's what I thought was, Burns, you had the best stat about this, is that of the 1,600 Raiola passing yards, 1,000 of them were after the catch. Yep. So that tells me that they're throwing short passes in good matchups and guys are making dudes miss. Mm-hmm. And so I think the Gophers did a good job of, first of all, plugging that up and saying, if we're not going to let you dink and dunk all day, because I do think that's why Raiola had to move off his first and second read a lot and got sacked. But when you throw it there, we're gonna wrap you up. And Zaquan Bryant, who's been much maligned as well at times this year, first play of the game, it's a pass out to the left flat. He tackles him for maybe a 1-yard gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the only guy over there. Like,
yeah.
So right from the jump, you could tell they were locked in on all those details that they needed to be locked in on.
Yeah, we talked last week. Is like, is it scheme? Is it just technique? Is it just wanting to do it? And I think we all agreed. It's like, I don't think it was a talent issue. I think it's just you have to be committed to go do it. And PJ got the message across. Like, if we're not going to tackle in game, we're going to tackle in practice. And so I'm sure that wasn't a fun practice to go to, but guess what? Sometimes you have to do things to get your point across. And the players probably said, we're not going to go through that again. We're going to tackle them. We're going to be I just felt like they were aggressive tacklers. I mean, they went with a purpose on all these, and it just showed. I mean, it's like you watch that defense at Purdue, and then you watch that defense at Nebraska and said, same guys. I mean, that just tells you, to me, it's I can't imagine Danny Collins did that much dramatically different in 1 week. It was just guys being committed to go.
So, Burnsy, what do you think offensively?
Well, it's nice when the offensive line decides to put it together. And it's also nice when you compare that in tandem with some tweaks to the run game from the offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh. I think it was yet another offensive line combination. They did their 4th different offensive line combination in 4 weeks, which they went back to initially the same one they started the season with. And Fleck talked about that on Monday with us. Is he had a long conversation with the offensive line coach, Brian Callahan, to say, we're trying too many things. Let's go back to the original one and see if that one sticks. And it did. I also think you look at the things that Greg Harbaugh did with I formation. I felt like I was back in the Glenn Mason days with the way that they were able to get downhill with Darius Taylor and Femi Ijeboy and be able to put up some running yards. I mean, the stat coming into that game was the Gophers, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, where RTB doesn't stand for just row the boat, it's run the ball, had 133 conference rushing yards in 3 games.
Jeez.
And then against Nebraska, they put up, I think, 165, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was some tweaks to the run game. It was finally being able to get Darius into space. He gets the long 71-yard run. But even for Greg Harbaugh, it was that first drive of the second half, and I wrote about it afterwards, is the first 3 drives, you get 17 points, but it starts with the 98-yard one, where there's so many different things, from Drake finding Lemeki Brockington deep in his own territory on 3rd down to extend the drive. A couple of Femi Ijeboy first down runs. You go for it on 4th and 3. You get a holding call, and then Drake drops one absolutely in the bucket to Lemeki Brockington for the 20-yard touchdown. I mean, that's exactly what they needed. So it felt like that was a big second half for not just the defense, but the offense, Chip.
Yeah, and you're right there, averaging 2.2 yards per carry.
Yep.
In Big Ten games. I mean, that's easily was the worst in the Big Ten. That 14-play drive was masterful. I mean, 7 runs, 7 passes, and it felt like it was 7 yards every time, right? I mean, It was just that was an offensive coordinator. What do they call it? In your bag? Is that the phrase that the kids use?
He was in his bag. He was cooking.
That's what the young whippersnappers are saying, Chipper.
He was cooking.
He was cooking.
But that was that was. I thought Harbaugh was. He had them completely off balance, and that was an offense getting in a rhythm. And I just felt like after that drive, that game was over. I mean, that sucked the competitive spirit right out of Nebraska. When you pin them on the 2 and you thinking, okay, we're going to flip the field position, this game's going to pivot, and they go just bam, 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 one play after another, big chunk plays, and that was an impressive drive. And so to their offensive line, I think I saw, on Darius's long touch, not touchdown, but the long run, there was a lineman that got out pretty far downfield and was blocking the heck out of someone. It just felt like there was extra something, Burnsy. I don't know what the word is, but they were on their blocks. Maybe it was being in the right spot. Maybe it's simplifying whatever they did. But I felt like there were guys that were just had a little more juice to them. Is that the right word?
I think the kids would say juice. I'll put on my old timey hat and tell you. I think my coaches would tell you they play with a little piss and vinegar.
Yeah,
I don't
that's the
know if
right. That's the right phrase. That's what I would say. That's what we grew up.
I
in
mean, they
Tennessee
were
with,
very
yeah.
motivated, and they played like they were motivated. You mentioned on the long run, you get both guards at the second level. We didn't even talk about this, Guardsy, and I know you wanted to, and I kind of shut you down on it. It wasn't only just the Emmett Johnson revenge game. It was the Malachi Coleman revenge game, who played a season high in snaps.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, no one loves Narrative Street more than PJ Fleck with stuff like that. Go look at the bowl game stuff, because the bowl game stuff, Fleck is well aware how many yards or touchdowns somebody needs to break a record. My man's all on board Narrative Street like the rest of us. And Malachi was the one with a big block on that long 71-yard run too. So again, I think maybe they were sleepwalking a bit against Purdue, saying Purdue stinks, we're Minnesota. And then it was interesting to kind of see on the 6 days later, maybe it was a little bit of Nebraska walking into Minneapolis saying, we're 25th ranked. This is Minnesota. Like, what are we can walk in here and win. And I just do not continue to understand why Nebraska, who Fleck's, if you want to say it, actually, Fleck's their daddy. 7-1, 6 in a row. Yeah. And Nebraska's got more physical talent, yet that team does not play well in Minneapolis.
No. I was going to bring something up, not about that, but Fleck brought this up unprompted. I think it was in his opening statement. And he mentioned, I was talking to Paul and JG after the game about playing, having a feel for how all three phases are playing, and you call a game a certain way. And I felt like he was alluding to that first half where he punted on 4th and inches and then ran the ball on 3rd and 7. And I was a little annoyed with him at halftime. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little annoyed because of those plays, because if you go back and go into that game, Nebraska had the second worst run defense in the Big Ten. Only UCLA was worse. And I believe they were back-to-back drives, and it was 4th and inches around the 40, their own 45-ish, and called timeout, right? You think they're going to go for it, and then he punts. I'm like, really? Are we going to do that again today? And then the next drive, it's 3rd and 7 around the same area, maybe midfield, and they run Darius kind of off tackle there, and it may have been a 1-yard game or something, and they have to punt. And it's what, 7-6 at halftime. I'm like, my thought at halftime was, man, they left the door open for Nebraska to regroup and gather themselves when they could have maybe put their foot on the gas and maybe been aggressive there and try to get a bigger gap when they were, had some momentum. But
Burnsy, go ahead. I'm looking up a few things.
But I think in his mind, he was saying, man, my defense is on fire tonight. They're playing good. Let's not give them a bad field position. Let's not let them start on our side and give them some easy points there. So in hindsight, I understand now what he was doing, but at the moment I was like, PJ, you got to be aggressive in these games. You got to go take them. But I think, was that what he was alluding to? I feel like that's what he was alluding to in that opening statement.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Go ahead, Burnsy.
Yeah, I think the way he thought that game was going to play out was, I'm going to assume he's thinking, well, if I punt here and they get points, so be it. But if I go for it and don't get it, and we've struggled here, and they could get 7 instead of 3 or whatever that may be. And I think that Nebraska ended up getting 3 points on that drive. Again, we've seen Fleck be Mr. Risk Averse, but I also think he knows in the back of his mind that his team and his 3 now Big Ten wins has been absolutely death to opponents in the second half. And I looked up the stats, and their 3 Big Ten wins over Rutgers, Nebraska, and Purdue. Minnesota has outscored their opponents in the second half by, I believe it's 38 points, 48-10. So if you think you're going to take care of business at home, which they had previously against these conference opponents and done really well in the second half, maybe you play it a little bit more risk averse. Now it's going to be a different story to me down in Kinnick this weekend, but
we'll get to it.
We're, those type of situations, Chip, we've seen it time and time again. And, I wrote about it going into halftime thinking, all right, we're going to just lay into the head coach for another like 3 different punts from the 45 to the 47, but didn't end up mattering.
Fourth and one from their 47. That one I had no problem with because Nebraska's done nothing. Don't give them a spark. Do not give them a spark. The one at the end of the half, I get it. I got a text from a friend of mine who didn't watch the rest of the game because of that. The 3rd and 7. And I texted him back after the game and said, it worked out okay. He's like, didn't watch. And then he watched it. He goes, damn, they played well in the second half.
Yeah.
So calm down. But the 4th and 1, because Nebraska had done nothing up to that point. And on Saturday night, I watched the Penn State interim coach do the exact opposite in Kinnick in the second half, where he goes for it foolishly on a 4th and 1, I think at their own like 38. Tries a trick play, doesn't work. Iowa's not doing much at the time, and that ignites them. And the rest is to me, the 4th and 1, I get it, it's 6 inches, but how crappy have they been in that situation all season long? The last thing you need to do is give Nebraska some type of boost or lift and send your defense out there in their own field. 3rd and 7, we're always going to talk about that. He does it sometimes. It doesn't work. And then when it does work against him, I think because Rutgers did it a couple times, he likes to bring it up that, hey, it works every once in a while. I get why that one's always going to be fair game, but I had no problem with the 4th and 1. 3rd and 7, sure. I think that's debatable. The 4th and 1, don't give him any reason. Don't give him any reason to be engaged or involved. Yeah,
I think it was more because I saw it on Twitter line up too. I think it's more of the history that was, because we've seen this before. It's kind of that pent up, here we go again. And I felt the same way. It's like, man, this is a game you got to go take, right? And he was looking at it as, man, my defense is really being disruptive. We're getting sacks. Yeah, why give them a short field when they've shown nothing to this point that they can drive the long field against the defense, or that the defense is going to make a stop. So looking back, I was like, he played that how he was right. He played it right. He knew his defense was going to come up, but in the moment, I was just like, really, come on, man, go for the, that was just kind of the particularly because I felt like they were finally getting some push along their offensive line, which we haven't seen. And we came into the game saying, and I remember telling somebody from the team, I was like, they've got to run the ball. Nebraska their run defense is not good. I mean, they were giving up 4.5 yards per carry coming into the game, which was the second worst in the Big Ten. And so it's like, they're going to be able to run the ball if they, if they're physical and they do it. And I felt like, Burns, you probably saw it too. I felt, it felt like they were generating a push up front for the first time in a while, where Darius wasn't getting hit at the line all the time. I mean, it felt like he was, had some, he was running behind some guys that were clearing holes for him. So that part of it to me was like, man, you felt like your running game had some momentum at that time and was in a rhythm, but he played it right. I mean, it was, he trusted his defense and they were really good.
Anything else, Burnsy?
You want to get your Nebraska stuff off your chest before we talk Iowa?
Well, you transitioned into it pretty beautifully there, I thought, where Minnesota was the motivated team, a week ago. Maybe they weren't. This time they were. First of all, I just want to say we called this game back in July. We looked at the schedule and we said Nebraska, with their schedule, which is just ridiculously easy, they're going to be 6-0 maybe, at worst 5-1, because the Michigan home game.
Michigan, yeah.
And by the way, I still don't think Michigan's that good. I know they were actually pretty impressive against Washington in the second half, but I said they're going to be 5-1, and Nebraska's going to be ranked.
Here we are.
That's what we do, because that's what we do. And the media ranked them. The coaches didn't. So I guess some of the coaches are watching games and watching film. The media obviously is not. But I just don't know how many more times people are going to be fooled by this. I just don't understand. I for the life of me, I can't figure out why people do this year after year. And I know there's 160 Division I teams, and you can't watch everything all the time. But is every AP voter like the one woman that basically said, I don't even care, I just vote what I'm feeling that day on vibes, basically? Like, is that what we're doing? Is that the entire national media? Because even like respected reporters are being like, oh, look what they're doing. Oh, this is different. And it's Matt Rule. It's like, I call it the St. Louis is a baseball town cliche. You may have never even been to St. Louis, but because you heard, Tony La Russa say it for 15 years, and you watch him in the World Series, Joe Buck says it, and you remember Jack, you're like, yeah, it's a good baseball town, even though you've never been there. Like, you just go, it's the biggest groupthink ever. And I mean, I have so many ways we can go with this. I'll let you guys get some thoughts out, and then I'll just kind of react to all of that.
Well, I think it is part of it is the Nebraska brand, the name. It's Tom, part of it is because I used to be an AP voter many years ago, and I can tell you, you don't get to watch all the teams. You don't get to watch the games.
It's hard.
It's hard. And you know what you do a lot of times? You look at scores and think, oh my God, they are rolling. And you don't really think about the opponent's situation. Some of it, I think, is Matt Rule. We all think he's a pretty good coach.
Yep.
But if they overlooked the Gophers and took them lightly and thought more of themselves, like, based on what? Like, what has Nebraska done of late that would compel them to think that they could, I mean, they've lost 6 straight games to the Gophers. Why would they ever overlook a team that they've lost 6 straight games to? That to me doesn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know where their motivation was, what their mindset was, but I know physically they didn't meet the challenge that the Gophers put forward.
Well, I even thought it was interesting yesterday. Matt Rule made some more comments because us media jackals talked to him.
Go ahead and get to him.
So he said, quote, I think once Minnesota started to assert their physicality, I don't know that we were ready for a fist fight. That's sad to say, but that's why it falls on me, end quote. How does that happen when you've lost at the Nebraska football program, not just Matt Rule? You've lost 5 in a row. Like, what? I'm the youngest of this podcast. We all know it. I don't remember the glory days of Nebraska. And I don't understand we're Nebraska. And what has Nebraska done to think that they've earned anything? And again, to come into Minneapolis and just feel like, yeah, you got better athletes. You always do. And I said this on Gopher Football Sunday with you, Guardsy and Chips. I'll ask you this. I made the statement of there is not a Big Ten team that when you look at the amount of money that they have and facilities and all the different advantages they have, other than you have to go live in the state of Nebraska, that does less with more than the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Well, you said they had better athletes. Did they? I didn't. I mean, like, when you tell me when they played Ohio State, they had better athletes. I watched that game Friday night. I didn't see better athlete. I mean, it didn't jump out to me that way. Maybe on paper, maybe in something else, but I watched that game. I would have said the Gophers had better athletes. I don't know. Yes, but in terms of resources, money that flows into that athletic department, I mean, we've all been there. The game day, that's the only show in town. No other allegiances pulling time, attention, and dollars from Nebraska football. So yeah, Matt Rule, to his credit, did not let himself or his team off the hook about what happened there. I mean, he's been brutally honest about. I saw a quote from him yesterday. He said, "If people pay their money, I don't know who they play this weekend." He said,
Northwestern.
He said,
who won't lose.
Who won't? Yeah, he said, and if people pay their money and we play like that again, boo us.
Yeah.
You don't hear a coach say that too often,
Well, I loved his whole press conference yesterday. Here, let me just read this part, because what you said, where does this entitlement come from, Chip? Their head coach agrees with you. He says it was 7-6 at halftime, and everyone's walking into the locker room disappointed. I'm so tired of that. The entitlement of that, it just drives me nuts. Every team is going to be ready to play us. The Minnesota fans were chanting overrated at the end of the game. Why? Because you earned yourself into being 5-1 and being in the top 25. They wanted to play you. I'm just tired of the entitlement of, oh, this will be easy. Who are we? We're way better when we're like chip on our shoulder, gritty, tough. I don't want to come in here and blame people. I want our team to know that we all have to be better this week. It wasn't nearly good enough. Then going down to this one, he says, I told the entire team that this was a tough, physical team, and this would be a battle. I even had assistant coaches say, why do you keep crowning them? I'm tired of that, man. You better respect every team you play, especially when you're at Nebraska. People are going to get excited for you. I loved all of that. It's all right. And it's exactly what you said. What have we done? And I think part of the problem, let me throw this theory at you. Someone threw this at me. Someone that works with us mentioned that he thinks his theory is because Nebraska is so invested and because they love their team so much and because the media, and we'll get to some of their predictions, holy hell, part 2, and some of the things they were saying, he thinks that the fact that everybody's always waiting for them to be good works against them at the team, because the second they show any pulse, everybody starts thinking like the black shirts are back and here we go. And then that's all that they hear. It's the rat poison that Nick Saban talks about. And no one's ever like mad. Like they just wait for the next time that they're going to be like, oh, now we're back. Now we're back. Here it is. Now we're back. It wasn't that time. Now we're back. And the second that they show any pulse, I mean, they're talking playoffs down there last week, which, by the way, with their schedule, they should have been thinking that because their schedule is complete cake for the most part. But I thought it was an interesting theory that any of media members who are predicting 42-13 victories over the Gophers and saying playoffs are in sight, they're going to end the streak against Minnesota today. I think players hear that enough and they're walking around Lincoln and everyone's saying, go Big Red. We're so excited. You're back. I do think that messes with them a little bit, but I thought it was an interesting theory.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of what played into it was the Gophers just didn't play well. Haven't played well this year, and they were coming off an uninspiring, underwhelming win over Purdue. So maybe team, fans, reporters thought it was going to be a cakewalk up here. But if you know anything about PJ, he's going to have his team ready to play against Nebraska. I mean, they just are all the time. I mean, that's what his entire tenure is, and so they rise to the occasion against Nebraska, and so. But yeah, there's a little bit of, and I don't know if it's arrogance or what it is, but I just think, Tom Osborne, that Nebraska program did a lot. This Nebraska program has not earned the right to kind of have that mindset, So it'll be. I'm fascinated to see what their response will be against a Northwestern team that we all thought was bad at the beginning of the year that, by the way, is not bad.
Right.
I don't know that they're good. I don't know that they're bad. I don't know what Northwestern is after their shutout over.
Opportunistic. They find ways to win.
I'll also say, what do you think this means for, the other elephant in the room that we haven't talked about was the Matt Rule Penn State thing a distraction? I'm in the KFAN studios at 11 a.m. with PA last week. Oh, good for me. And I'm looking up and I see Rule on McAfee Live. He was there for like a half hour. And
he does. I think he does that every week.
Yeah, I don't. I personally, I tend to think that kind of stuff gets overblown. When the game started, do I think Matt Rule is thinking about Penn State? I don't.
When the game starts, probably not. But the thing
I'll ask you is, did it affect his team? I don't know.
Do you think he is now more or less likely to be the next Penn State head coach with that loss? Say Nebraska wins 8 games this year, which is 2 more than they ended up winning in the regular season last year. What does Penn State do?
Well, this is such a hypothetical, Burns. We have no idea who else they're even looking at or thinking about. We could do other names. I think the guy's a good coach. I think he's a guy that should be thought of for a Penn State opportunity. But go ahead if he wants it. And I still don't think he's going to go, by the way. I don't think that's going to be the play. But go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I don't think by the time they made a decision, I don't think they would single out one game and like, wow, he lost to Minnesota.
Yeah, but what about Minnesota on Friday night? MEA weekend.
Yeah. I now if it snowballed into something more and then you have the conversation. Yeah, well, what happened to a team that was 5-1? But if it's if they like the guy and they feel like he's their guy, I feel like one game is not going to swing that.
Sure. Yeah, I loved how he said everything I wanted to say though. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Who are we? What are we doing? Now let's see how they play. Let's see how I think Burns, to answer your question, let's see how they come back this week. We'll see. And I'm not saying they have to beat Northwestern and run them out of the barn, but if there's, as he said, if we're diving at people's ankles and missing tackles and getting pushed back, like everybody should be mad. Then that to me is like either you pick the wrong players or the players aren't listening to you anymore, which would be odd because they were just talking playoffs 2 weeks ago. But another team that was talking playoffs 2 weeks ago fired their coach, James Franklin, and paid him $50 million to go away. So I don't know, but I just – because I know we're about to do this with Indiana basketball too and their new head coach. They're going to play Kentucky tough in like December, and we're going to be talking about how the Hoosiers are back. It's like no one's going to be back anymore. Like everyone's just – we're going to see it again this week, although there's some huge point spreads in the Big Ten this week. There's like 2 really good teams. There's like 1 or 2 really bad teams. And the other 14, you better show up. You better show up because they're all – every game is I mean, we've said it now for the last year, and I don't think that's changing. No one is going to be back like they were in the 90s. Like that's just a completely different era now. And same with Indiana basketball. It's like we got to stop. Like, and I blame the media more than even the teams and the players because, like, you guys got to start having some critical thinking skills or, like, watching the games. It's like Nebraska had 1 big game this year so far. They lost it at home to Michigan, who's just okay. It's J.J. McCarthy and, Jim Harbaugh aren't walking through that door. It's just a freshman quarterback. It's an okay Michigan team. That's it. And that's supposed to be, like, your moment to say that you are back, and you lose it at home. And then you barely beat Maryland, who's no good. Again, what happened? They win 5 games. Maryland's great. Who's this quarterback? No, they're fine. They're just a team. But you beat them and you turned it over 3 times. Like, it's just – but we're going to do it again. Like, we're going to do it again next year. And I love the Temu Patrick Mahomes comparison, Burnsy. It's such – like, I mean, the guy's like dressing up for Halloween as Patrick Mahomes in 2 weeks, trick-or-treating. It's like, no, just play football, bro. Stop doing stuff with your hand. Like, it even looks like he's eating to have the little Patrick Mahomes dad bod. It's almost like he's got like a little pillow underneath there to look exactly like him. It's like, just you're not Mahomes. Yeah. Like, you're a talented quarterback, but come on, dude. Like, oh, my God.
Speaking of Indiana, by the way, can we talk about how we need to get people to understand that Indiana has a lot of money? Like you mentioned Indiana basketball being back, and I think all 3 of us know this, but like Indiana basketball NIL is top 3 in all of college basketball. I mean, they hired Mike Bleeping Woodson to coach the freaking team back when. And now we look at Kurt Cignetti's contract. My man's making $11.6 million annually, and it's fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed contract at 11.6. That's top 3 in the country money.
Crazy.
And I know that I see I know people want us to talk about it. I just cannot disagree with it more to an extent of, well, look at what Cignetti's doing. Why can't Fleck do that? And I'm thinking to myself, he brought a lot of guys from James Madison, and he gets them to absolutely play like their hair's on fire all the time. But I'm even listening to, and it's not Mace's fault. It's not. And I texted you about this as I was listening to Mace on your face.
Oh, yeah.
With your Mace in your face. Yeah. Boy, that's going to be something here. Jeez.
I let it go.
I know.
I wasn't going to say anything.
He's talking about like, all right, yeah. I mean, they got the Cal quarterback. He can't be. Like the Cal quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, cost multi-millions of dollars to get from the portal. Like they have money at Indiana now, and Sig does them again. We're not saying Sig's not a great coach. He's getting paid now. I mean, you look at his salary arc from even 2-3 years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 600,000 to
11.6.
His student loans are paid off.
That's right.
His student loans are paid off for sure. Yeah, he may have been making minimum payments for a while, but he's there. I hope he knocked them all out.
I don't know, guys. So much of this stuff. The other thing within your argument there, Guardsy, and you say there's like a couple at the top, couple at the bottom. Well, isn't this what every fan has been wanting, where teams 5 through 15 is on any given week? It's who shows up, where is the game played? Everybody wants parity until parity's here, and now parity is here across college football. It is specifically within the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
This is what the portal does. This is what the House settlement does. It brings increased parity to the sport. And now we get to find out who are some pretty dang good coaches. I think Curt Cignetti is a damn good coach. I think what you saw on Friday night, Fleck continues to do more with less in terms of resources than a lot of different coaches across this conference. So, again, parity is fun to cover until everybody sees the parity is what I'm learning.
All right, can we talk about the other thing that's bothering me real quick before we pause and talk about Iowa? And it has to do with NIL, and it has to do with transfer portal.
So it's not about you seeing all the red at Mall of America over the weekend.
No, but that was the other thing I said on the radio. I said, just a reminder to everybody on their way out, thanks for coming. It was a great atmosphere, which it was. It was another just electric atmosphere. Like, for people that haven't been to a game in a while, like, you'd be stunned. Like, if you hadn't been to a game since, like, pre-COVID, you'd be stunned at how fun it is. Just the vibe. It's just a fun vibe, man. And credit, we say it all the time, credit to the students. They were awesome again. And when you have Nebraska fans, again, the entire day just belting out "Go Big Red" all across Dinkytown, that's going to incite some Gopher fans to go, we got to bring our A game here too. Let's do another shot ski before we head into the stadium. But I said, make sure you take advantage of, no sales tax on clothes before you head back, and we'll see you when we see it. And they did. I was at 2 malls on Saturday, Mall of America and the Egan Outlet Mall, and there was plenty of red to go around. A lot of Eagles fans too. They had a better weekend, unfortunately, if you're a Vikings fan. But I don't know if this is. I live here in Minnesota. Okay, I live here in Minneapolis. I've never lived anywhere else. Chip, I know you have. Burnsy, you're one of us as well. But I doubt right now in Bloomington, Indiana, for example. I don't even know, is Mendoza a senior? I don't know if he's got time left. But I can't imagine that on, Bloomington, the ticket radio, sports radio, one of the things they're talking about is, hey, do you think we're going to be able to keep Mendoza? And I know they have money, but why the automatic reflexive instinct here is, wow, Gophers found a really good quarterback, Drake Lindsey. They got him from Arkansas. Well, he's probably going to leave. They're going to have to pay him a lot. Here comes the free agent market. And we have media members that's the first thing they say. The first thing. Someone tweets something good about Drake Lindsey, be ready to pay him. Thank you. We're aware that college athletes get paid and there's a transfer portal. Thank you for acknowledging that you know all of this and that this is the first thing that you want to think about. And it's driving me crazy, if you can't tell, because what it shows me is, now, by the way, do I think Drake Lindsey is going to be the quarterback here for the next 3 years? I do. Would I be shocked if he leaves? No, because it's college sports in 2025. We have no idea what's going to happen the next couple of years. But if you put a gun to my head and said, Drake Lindsey, quarterback in 2 years, I'd say, yeah, I think he likes it here. I think he's going to stay. When you just do they're just not going to pay him. Number one, I'd go, well, we said that about Darius Taylor. I think he ran for over 140 yards the other night. Said that about Coy Parrish. I think he had pick 6 2 games ago and was playing, unless I missed something on Friday. I know that James Franklin and Penn State did everything they could to get Anthony Smith to come back home to Pennsylvania. I think he leads the Big Ten in sacks right now. Burnsy just said it. He still plays for the Gophers. Am I correct on all 3 of those?
So far, so good.
Have I missed anything? Have I missed anything? Okay.
Take a drink of water from the pulpit here.
And then I think, well, let's see. Do you know anything about Drake Lindsey and his family and his story and the fact that I'm guessing other people tried to recruit him after Minnesota got him committed when Colorado State was his only offer and he thought he was going to Fort Collins like 18 months ago. Do you happen to know that his family owns Fayetteville, Arkansas? Like they should just name it Lindseyville, Arkansas, because the Jim Lindsey who played for the Vikings went back down there and started Sid Hartmaning the whole town and basically has apartment buildings and golf courses and planes and all this stuff. It's like maybe he's not just looking to take the bag and go to the highest bidder. Like there might be a few other things that he cares about. Like, does anybody care about that? Or do we just like to go, they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to pay him a lot of money because he's good. It's just, I'm so sick of the observers in this town. And again, he might leave. We can clip this when he goes to Miami next year to take over for Carson Beck. And they pay him $5 million, and his girlfriend's one of the Cavender twins. We can clip this and move it on. But it's like, why that's the instinct here, I'll never understand. Because I promise you, It's not happening in other towns like this. I promise you. It's just so simple-minded. It's so easy. It's almost engagement farming. And it just shows me you're not paying attention. And unfortunately, in this town, you don't have to, because you've got your following, and you don't have to follow the Gophers because you got all this other stuff in Big Ten college football. That's why Chip wanted to start this podcast, because there wasn't a lot of this stuff out here. And now, Chip, never rearranges his schedule for the podcast because he's got a million other projects and the rest of us have to do it. But I'm just like, I feel like I have to just mute Drake Lindsay portal on my tweets so I never have to see it again, because I just don't get it, I guess. I could have just said, I just don't get why that's the itch we all feel like we need to scratch the second that somebody has some modicum of success. Well, he's leaving.
Yeah.
Well, Darius Taylor hasn't. Corey Parrish hasn't. Anthony Smith hasn't. Go down the list, guys that haven't. But does it, because it just sounds cool, because you know about college football and you know about the portal and NIL and Dinkytown athletes, and we don't have enough money, and it's just tiresome. It's just tiresome, because that gets perpetuated when I'm going to pump gas, or I see someone at Cub Foods, or I'm at a graduation party or a neighborhood function, a hockey or lacrosse party, and I go, think they're going to keep Drake Lindsay? Yes, I do. I do. Why don't you think that? Because you haven't been watching, because you're an observer to this entire thing, yet somehow think your opinion should matter. Go ahead, guys.
Boy, look, before Chip says anything, I just want to say I feel better for you. I want you to know that. I feel like there's been a 50-pound weight lifted off.
No, it's still here. It's still here.
He's carrying it with him.
It's been dropped on me.
Well,
but that's what bothers me, is because whether it's Patino with in-state recruiting or NIL with, it's all these things that just get thrown out there and perpetuated. And then I'm on the front line taking grenades at every function I go to, because nobody goes a level deeper. They just go to the surface. And because, someone tweeted that Drake Lindsay is going to go in the portal, it's just wasting time of my life. And I think that's why it bothers me so much.
Yeah. Well, the money aspect has driven me crazy, where it doesn't happen as much now, but when the NIL started, anytime there was a loss, well, how are they supposed to compete? They have no money. Mm-hmm. They can't beat these teams. I'm like, we have to stop that, because that's way too convenient of an excuse. Every loss cannot be blamed on NIL, or we're just going to be sitting here saying, having no expectations. Well, they can't compete with this team. They can't compete with that team. And then they stepped up and they kept Darius Taylor, because Darius Taylor, he's gone. He's gone. Well, he didn't leave, and they've kept their best players. And so I think that part of it has died down. And you're right, the Lindsay, people don't know his background and everything, but maybe the kid likes it here. Maybe he loves it here. Maybe he loves playing in the system. Maybe he's having success.
If he was poor, even if he didn't need money,
and the thing is, do you really honestly think, because I think Drake Lindsay's really good right now, and I'm going to write that column this week. I think he's been their best player. Surely on offense, he's been one of their two best players. Him and Anthony Smith on the entire team have been their two best players.
Agreed.
Do you think they're not going to step up and pay the quarterback who's one of the best quarterbacks, is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this conference for the next few years? I mean, of course they are. Is Minnesota, are they at the top of the NIL game? No, but they're in the game. They're paying their best players. They're not losing their best players to other. It's been what's this been? Was it 2-3 years now where they've kept Coy, Darius, Anthony Smith? It's going to be fine.
Well, there's two conferences that are separating in this game.
Is it
the
here in
Big
the
Ten
SEC?
And the SEC. And that's the other thing that's well, who's going to give him? It's not like he's at Colorado State or North Dakota State or South Dakota State where Mark Gronowski was. You said it, Chip. They're already in the game. They're close enough. And yeah, if that's what he decides, someone's going to pay him $10 million. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you might. But who's going to? First of all, I don't know if that's.
They're not doing that. They're not doing that.
There's just not that many. It's the same thing with coaches leaving. With all these buyouts, we talked about it last week. There's only if you're at a Big Ten or an SEC school, there's not a lot of places that can pay you life-changing money more than what you're already getting.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of spots where Penn State would be one of them, right? And it'll be interesting to see who takes that job. But It's just like, it just shows me that you have no understanding of what's actually happening in college sports, and you don't care to, because it's just easier to say, good luck keeping them, because that feels good to throw it out there. It's insane, Burnsy.
I think what Minnesota has found is, to both of your points, where guys have stayed. Again, Ariante to Darius Taylor to Coy Parrish, they've stayed. And I think what Minnesota has found is they don't have to be the highest in the room, but they just have to be competitive. You're never going to outspend the Miamis, the Texas Techs, the Ohio States, the Oregons, pick your school.
Yeah.
But if you can just be in the ballpark, which now thanks to the House settlement, now thanks to the folks at DTA, they have been able to do that, and the results speak for themselves. And if Drake, just with the whole portal thing, again, if Fleck leaves, then this whole thing gets thrown out the window. But to be consistently seeing media members in this town in mid-October having this conversation, can we at least get to the end of the season? Because I'll remind everybody, the portal doesn't open until January.
Yeah.
And even then, again, this whole thing is being backsourced behind the scenes anyway. And I've heard nothing that makes me think Drake Lindsay is going to leave Greg Harbaugh and PJ Fleck. Again, things can change, but to be, Drake had a great game. Well, too bad. Can we not on October 21st, please? Please.
Yeah, and I feel bad I've even spent this much time on it, but I wanted to get it out there, so hopefully we don't have to do it every week. Like, this is what I'd like to be the statement of record, at least for me.
It's a hell of a statement.
I won't speak for you guys, but it's just, I'm left speechless at times. I'm just left speechless at times because, again, we have to respond to it when it's asked of me, which is like, I think I'm just mad because that's like people's small talk with me at kids' functions. Is they're going to be able to keep Drake Lindsay? Well, we all thought PJ was leaving like 5 times. We think every coach is leaving us because Lou Holtz did in 1986. I don't think anybody's left since, unless they've been fired. So we're doing that. Darius, Coy, Anthony. My goodness, it's just, I'm going to be thinking about this on my deathbed. How much time has been wasted of my life knocking down stupid theories that people that don't even follow college sports are tweeting out, and here we are. Anything else on that, guys, on that cheery note?
Before we talk Iowa, you want to talk Jack's Cafe?
I do. I could use a drink, even though it's 9:30 on a Tuesday morning. I could use a drink at Jack's Cafe, and they have a great happy hour. They have a great bar. They have a couple of cool bars, one for functions, one for the public. It's all good. The food is tremendous. It's starting to get a little chilly. Brunch season outside. We might be running out of those days, but if all of a sudden it pops up to the 60s and the patio's open, I'd bring everybody out there. Even my kids like it out there. And I make sure they don't fall into the creek in the back. It's not really a creek. It's just a babbling brook where they've got fish. It's great. But date night, big anniversary, big company party. It's almost holiday season. They've got the Hunters dinner coming up in November. Really, Chipper, something for everybody at Jack's Cafe.
Menu's great. Service is great. Parking is outstanding. I love everything about Jack's. And I want to give a shout out to Bill. He gives us these tickets, and you guys give them away. I don't get to see it, but you sent me a picture. Was it Saturday morning? I think it's Saturday morning. I was down in Des Moines, and there was a young kid with the I can't remember the Gopher player. You guys can remind me who it was, but he was on the field after the field storming, getting his picture taken. It was this first ball game. Because Bill is so generous with his tickets, that kid got that experience that he'll remember forever, right? Being on the Gopher field after a fun game, a great win, meeting Gopher players, getting their picture taken with it. I'm sure that dad or mom, whoever took him, was just tickled to death, went home that night thinking they had a unbelievable moment with their child. And because Bill was generous enough to give those tickets. So I want to applaud.
Yeah, that was Ashton Beard.
His restaurant is A+. And just a phenomenal human being. So,
yeah, Center Ashton Beers. And then that kid actually went up to Ashton and said, do you think that Drake Lindsay's going to stay, or are we going to lose him in the portal?
You got to stop.
The kid was already on there. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Burnsy.
Well, to Chip's point, it's a great location in Northeast Minneapolis, and I'm a big proponent of support those who support us.
Yep.
So if you like the work we do here, I can assure you, you got some type of holiday dinner coming up with your significant other, with your family, and people are going to ask, where should we go? Go to Jack's Cafe. Go make your reservation today. JAXcafe.com.
All right, let's talk about Iowa. The fourth member of the podcast, my Iowa buddy, sent me a really long text. And I'm not going to read all of it first, but I'm going to start it this way, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Burnsy. It starts like this. Okay, let's see if I can provide some counter arguments to the one Burnsy will probably make on the pod and give some Iowa analysis while I'm at it. So you go at, we'll play Burnsy bingo with the fourth member of the podcast, our ghostwriter, Chad here. We'll see if he's been able to knock down a couple, like I do with you sometimes, and I write things down to see if you're going to say them. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Just give us your thoughts on this matchup. What's important, what you make of this Iowa team going into a 2:30 kick at Kinnick Stadium on Saturday.
Well, I've watched a lot of Iowa football this year. I watched all of last week's game against Penn State, and I came away like in the third quarter and went, I can't get this comparison out of my head on who Mark Gronowski is. And Chip, he reminds me of a Gopher quarterback from about 10 years ago. You know who I'm referencing here?
Leidner?
He is Mitch Leidner. I mean, that is who Mark Gronowski is. If Mitch Leidner would have went to South Dakota State and put up gaudy numbers, and I don't know how much the shoulder surgery has zapped out of his arm, but he is incredibly inconsistent as a passer. He's fantastic with his legs. He's lethal in the red zone. I just think he's a faster Mitch Leidner. So it's going to be Drake Lindsey versus Mitch Leidner on Saturday night with a quarterback who has yet to throw a passing touchdown in the Big Ten against Big Ten opponents, I should say. And I think your buddy would tell me, and I'm aware of this, their pass catching core is banged up and also no bueno.
All right, Chip, let's get a ruling here. Let's get a ruling on if you got this one right.
Oh, boy.
All right.
The sentence is, the quarterback only had 68 passing yards. Response, okay, so this one is kind of embarrassing. Would Iowa fans like more? Of course. Is the inaccuracy annoying? Absolutely. But he also had 130 rushing yards. Anytime you can get 200 yards from your quarterback, you'll take it no matter how he gets it.
Yeah,
that's spot on. He nailed it. That's
a good point. Yeah. Counterpoint.
Yeah, he nailed it. Yeah.
That is I like your Leidner on steroids kind of commentary there, Burnsy, because here's what drove me crazy about the Penn State game. Here's where games are more lost than won. Like that is just making more and more sense to me the more football I watch. And I watched a ton of games on Saturday. It's the best part about being, having a Friday night game. It's 3rd and goal from like the 7. And I looked at Jackson, my oldest son, he's 11. And I just said, the quarterback's going to run this one in. Because I've watched Iowa.
Yeah.
I've watched Iowa all season. I've watched them against Iowa State. I've watched them against, whoever. And what did Mitch Leidner do when it was like 3rd and 5? You're going to do a fake handoff. It's going to be some type of read. And he's probably going to keep it, and he's probably going to score. And then Tommy Olson's going to do the gritty in the end zone. And what happens? He fakes a handoff and then walks into the end zone. Like there's the defensive end or whoever for Penn State just buries himself on the running back, who, by the way, is good. We'll talk about him. But it's like, if I know that as a 43-year-old average college football mind, how does here, I'll say it this way, and I texted this to some people. If the Gophers lose because Mark Gronowski scores a couple of uncontested touchdowns running, shame on them.
Shame on them. Yeah.
Shame on them. That's how I would phrase it. And even the naked boot at the end of the game that kind of iced it. It's like, he's going to keep the ball. Why don't we see if he can throw for 500 yards, right? Instead of letting him just do whatever they want on the ground. But that's because that's what it felt like.
I would say, if he's going to beat you, you got to make him beat you through the air. And if he does, then you just say, you know what? Good for him, but you can't let him. It'll be interesting to see what Danny comes up with. Danny Collins, with they have somebody spying on someone, just assigned to spy him and make sure they know what he's doing at all times. But I think this is obviously oversimplistic, but this game will be decided again in the trenches. Like, can their defensive line be disruptive? And can their offensive line impose the physicality like they did against Nebraska, to where when this offense can run the ball with Darius and have Drake be, what was he, 16 to 20, 16 to 21, something like that the other night, be that efficient, and be that balanced, man, they're hard to defend. But to me, this game, as it always does with Iowa, it starts with those two lines and who wins that matchup.
I think specifically, if you're going to single out one Gopher on the defense who needs to play his best football game of the season, it's Coy Parrish. Like, Coy Parrish and tackling have not been hand in hand. And I think about the amount of times we're going to see Coy Parrish either one-on-one with a running back or Mark Gronowski in space. And if he tackles the way he's tackled the last few weeks, this is not going to go great, because this is an Iowa offensive line. We'll see if your buddy agrees with me here, Guardsy. I think the Iowa offensive line is awesome.
They are.
They're good. They're good. They're really good. That's why I'm saying
the offensive line they've played to date, Minnesota, and they can manhandle you. And that's where you're going to be putting your safeties in your secondary in conflict, where if you do make the tackle, great, you get to live to see another day at 2nd and 4. But if you miss the tackle, you're going to have flashbacks to what Iowa did at Huntington Bank Stadium in the second half last year.
And those linebackers need to be good too. Maverick, Williams. I mean, they need to be. Yeah, they need to be good.
All right. Well, I think he kind of got both of them here. Minnesota better hope its rushing D steps up.
Yep.
So it's pretty simple. If Minnesota can stop the run, they'll have a chance to win. Iowa tends to go running back by committee, but Kamari Moulton is getting better every week. He's been an eyelash away from breaking a big run the last couple of weeks. At some point, that dam breaks. Also says stop Caden Wetchen. It's been quite obvious that Iowa's made a point of getting the ball to their most electric player in any way possible. So I think you guys see that clearly as well. Yeah, stop the run. Don't get gashed in the run.
And then don't punt or kick it to Wetchen. Like, that would be the dumbest thing you can do for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Not, again, you're going to see Fleck kick it out of the end zone, or you're going to see Tom Weston try to either, again, pin it between there and the sideline, but do not give Wetchen any opportunities to make a play. And before we talk Iowa defense, I do want to make it clear. I know I'm making the comparison of Mitch Leidner to Mark Gronowski. That's not meant to be a negative. I mean, Guardsy, I can see in the background there, you got your Leidner Island T-shirt still hanging up there.
I still do have it upstairs. Yeah, I can never
Leidner
throw it
won
away.
A lot of bleeping football games here.
Yeah,
and he was really good for them in spots, especially. But it's just the comparison of he's maddeningly inconsistent with his arm. And again, I don't know how much of that is just a new system in the shoulder or whatever that is. But his biggest asset, without question, is his legs, and you have to stop that.
Also, and we just gave a lot of credit to Matt Rule for the coaching accountability. Did you guys see Ferentz after the game on Saturday talk about his decision to kick a 67-yard field goal that got blocked for a touchdown?
No.
My buddy who stopped watching the game at halftime because he was so mad about the 3rd and 7, the Gopher game. We call crying the Ferentz. Like, I Ferentzed a little bit. I got emotional because, the guy, he gets in his feelings, which I actually think is great. And he'll just start talking and all of a sudden he'll just get choked up and he can't finish the sentence. So Ferentz decides to kick a 67-yard field goal right before the half. It gets blocked for a touchdown, which is the exact opposite of Iowa, right? Usually they're doing that to people. Penn State takes a big lead, and somebody asked, did the team bail you out? And Kirk said, absolutely. And he said, it's the first thing I did at halftime was I went in there and I owned it. He said, we're competing, we're fighting. And he said, I drop an anvil on the team, is what he said. That's why I used the word anvil earlier. He says, and boom, the head coach drops an anvil. And then he starts choking up because he's just like, he's so mad at himself. Yeah. That's what he did. I just thought that was cool. I mean, you wonder why guys love playing for that dude. And he's lasted 52 years in Iowa City. I was a college. His 3rd year was my freshman year in Iowa City. That's a long time ago, boys. That's a long time ago. I just loved that they overcame that moment, which was obviously a disaster. But I still go back to, I can't believe Penn State let Gronowski beat him. And then, I don't know, Burnsy, you saw it. I don't know if we texted about this. Their 4th and 1 from their own 38 when they had the lead. Like, that just screamed of, I'm an interim coach and I don't give a bleep. We're letting it loose. But even though they gave up free 3 points because it was like one run and then a field goal, right? It's like, just punt the ball. Just punt the ball. because they tried some stupid play, might have been a direct snap. It gave Iowa the momentum, 120-yard run. Like, that stuff drives me crazy. It's like you gave them life when they had none, and you ended up losing by one single point. So those 3 points ended up being pretty important.
It's a fine line between being aggressive and reckless. That guy,
I thought that was reckless.
Yeah,
I thought that was.
I didn't. I was in Des Moines watching Tennessee, but you guys were texting me, and I was seeing on Twitter what was worse, getting a field goal blocked at the end of the half for a touchdown, or my Vols giving up a 99-yard pick six on the last play of the first half. Oof. Talk about a swing in a game.
What is Ferentz doing attempting a 60? I mean, that's what you like. Justin Gaard's favorite artist, Taylor Swift. And you love to use this line all the time. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I do use that line a lot.
66-yard field goal. Like, this
Wasn't
is not
smart.
the NFL where these guys just make them easily now. This isn't the NFL. What are you doing? That's what you get.
Was not smart. But they overcame it because Penn State made a couple of equally foolish decisions, and they had more Kinnick magic. All right, well, I think my buddy was a little defensive. He'll text me. He'll be listening to this.
Okay.
Assuming that you were going to say same old Iowa, classic Iowa. It's not. They're not winning in the weird ways that they used to. I'm sure you have the turnover numbers, Burnsy. They're not getting turnovers the same clip. By the way, I think the Gophers have the quarterback to do what I've been saying for the last decade. You have to throw. You have to try to move the ball. Although Penn State scored some points and they didn't throw either. They had, their backup quarterback with Drew Aller being in there as well. But you even saw a year ago, the first half, Max Brosmer takes them up and down the field a couple of times. The Gophers are leading at halftime. What do they try to do in the third quarter? Run the ball. We're going to trestle it right now. Nope. Iowa stopped you. Then they got going, and they just do such a good job of kind of navigating the game. And then they're so well coached and well schemed. They always have some little trick, whether it's the Gronowski bootleg. I remember a Sam Laporta screen one year, Burnsy, right? That went for like 500 yards. Yeah. Like they've always seems to have that one little trick. If you let them hang around, they're going to beat you in the end. They're going to find a way to make that play because that's what they do. And that's just what they do. So we'll see unless you're Purdue and you have David Bell and David Blau and all these guys, you just throw it all over the yard and don't care if you make mistakes. We'll see. I think they have the quarterback that can make that happen this week. We'll see if they try it.
Well, that's where with the Iowa defense this year, what I've learned, or at least what my opinion is they're not as talented as what they normally are. Now they have some talented players specifically in the secondary with like Xavier Nwakba, and they got some corners and some nickels that are good. But I think I always use my frame of reference for Iowa to that 2019 team, where it was AJ Epinesa, Chauncey Golston, Davion Nixon, Cedric Lattimore, you had Jack Campbell. I mean, that thing was insane.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way Phil Parker, Iowa's defensive coordinator, has been calling games, he has been as aggressive in sending pressure as I've ever seen him, because I think he knows his front four largely isn't getting home. So that's going to be the thing I'm going to be very curious to see in Iowa City is going to be when these key second and third downs come for the Gopher offense. And Phil Parker is aggressive like he's been all year. Is Drake Lindsay going to make them pay, or are we going to see him on the turf? I mean, because that's the thing to me is I'm not saying Iowa doesn't have talented players defensively. They do. Again, like I said, secondary specific to me is where this thing starts with guys like TJ Hall, Zach Lutmer. But they're banged up at linebacker. I think they were playing some new guys last week. It's just, what you're going to get from Iowa's defense. Phil Parker is Phil Parker, and it's why Kirk Ferentz has now been there 27 years. And Phil Parker's amazing at what he does. It's why Iowa has won 8 games for a decade, even with that offensive there. So you have to be ready to, again, it's Iowa's defense comes in waves, and you have to be able to play in the waves for 60 minutes if you're going to find a way. They found a way 2 years ago in that 12-10 game, but I don't know that you're going to be able to hold Iowa to 10 points, because that's an Iowa offense. For all the consternation about it, they're putting up some points.
Yep.
Yeah. Offensively, I mean, going against that defense, I said it when the Gophers were going against Purdue. I looked up the turnover margin, and Iowa only had 3 turnovers at that point for the season. Now they got that week. They got I think 3 or 4 against Wisconsin, right? And that changed. But they're not. This is not a typical Iowa defense that's like feasting on takeaways. Right. But to me, this game, the number one thing I'm watching in this game, I think is going to determine is like how does the Gophers defensive line and run defense step? Do they tackle well, and can they hold their own along the line to where that big offensive, like Iowa offensive line doesn't get in a rhythm and that running game just gets going, and then Gronowski can do his thing. It's run defense. It's being stout up front, and it's tackling. That to me is going to dictate this game.
And Iowa's running for over 5 yards a carry, and against Big Ten opponents, no one is better with turning those into touchdowns. They have 12 rushing touchdowns in 4 Big Ten games. That is number 1 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. 2:30 kickoff, sold out Kinnick Stadium with the fumes of another night Magic victory over Penn State still wafting over the Iowa River there in the Pentacrest and the Penn Mall. I'm sure a lot of Gopher fans are making the trip down there. So good luck, everybody. Be careful. Be careful. Be smart. I'm considering wearing a helmet myself after Busch Lights were thrown on the field the last time that the Gophers were there. Yep, no flag. They continue to play. So anyway, it should be fun. It's always fun. It's always fun to go to Iowa City. It's always fun with this matchup, one that's been played a million times. Looking forward to it. Chip's got a heart out, so let's bullet point a couple of things real quick. I never thought I'd see the day where not only did Vanderbilt beat LSU, I don't know if you guys saw much of this game. Vanderbilt, we talked about having better athletes. Vanderbilt looked more athletic than LSU did. They're running jet sweeps. They're running deep shots. Obviously, Diego Pavia, the 40-year-old Jerry Kill found quarterback, is putting himself into the Heisman conversation.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to watch Vanderbilt seem more athletic than LSU in a very, pretty decisive victory on Saturday.
As a guy who grew up in Tennessee, and we didn't even pay attention to Vandy because they didn't matter, right? To see Vanderbilt be one of the best teams in the SEC, I just never thought I'd live to see the day where that they're this good, this athletic, this well-coached, this relevant. I mean, they weren't even relevant when I was a kid. I mean, it was just they were a layup, right? And they were the better team. I mean, it was no fluke what they did to LSU, and I got to imagine Does LSU make a coaching change after this year? I don't.
Who doesn't make a coaching change after this year?
I know, it's starting to crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Florida. We had another one this week with Florida. Did I see right? Someone tweeted out, one of the national guys, that the buyout total for the coaches were up to $110 million, and it's only October. Is what he said.
We're already at double-digit FBS college openings, and we're not even in November yet. I mean, I'm telling you, this carousel is going to be insane. I even thought like Saban's comments about Vanderbilt, because he was asked to pick the game, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands because Vanderbilt's good. And we used to just count that. Like, we used to just not even pay attention to them, like Chip's point. Now, James Franklin walks so Clark Lee can run. And that's what we've seen at Vanderbilt. And it's fun to see parity. Again, I love parity. And I love to see someone like Vanderbilt standing up there in the SEC. And they got the greatest gift that they've ever received. And it wasn't money. It was Jerry Kill dropping Diego Pavia. Pavia, at their doorstep.
Yeah, having a quarterback helps.
Yep.
Having a quarterback. I remember sitting in Jerry Kill's office before you'd even coached a game here, and he said, you got to have a bleeping good quarterback. You have a bleeping good quarterback, you're going to be all right. All right, that's good. I appreciate that, Jerry. So, Chip, third Saturday in October, you mentioned the 99-yard pick six. Alabama, by the way, has rebounded nicely. They've rebounded nicely. Kalen DeBoer, we mentioned the woman who wanted to win the Powerball so she could buy out Kalen DeBoer just like 6 weeks ago. And now here we are. They've rebounded nicely, but I know that doesn't make you feel any better.
No, the quarterback's good. And the game pivoted there. I mean, you're going to have to play. You don't have to play perfect, but you're going to have to – when you're going into score to cut into the lead at halftime and you throw a pick six at the 1 yard line, 99-yard touchdown, it's like you can't recover from that. I mean, it's just the game was over, and my balls are in the good but not great category.
What else, Burnsy? Tell me about what's going on with the tortillas, which I feel like we've talked about the tortillas before.
It's Tortilla Gate, Chip, and I don't know.
I didn't know. I haven't heard about this.
So Texas Tech, one of the best teams in the country,
Yeah,
they lost their first game to Arizona State. But you know what they opened the Monday press conference with the Texas Tech head coach and the athletic director. That's how important this was. They opened it talking about how tortillas are no longer encouraged or permitted to be thrown at the opening kickoff of home games onto the field.
It's like their tradition. Yeah,
come
it's
on,
like
where's
one
the
of their
fun?
traditions.
Let's have some fun.
Onto the field, Chip. How can you not be romantic about college football?
Did they get flagged? Were they getting flagged for it? Were they getting fined? What are we doing?
So there's been a change in Big 12 policy where it will result in a 15-yard penalty and a $100,000 fine. Now, to Texas Tech, a $100,000 fine is like me finding a penny on the sidewalk. It doesn't matter. But to hamper the team that way, why do the Big 12 overlords hate fun, and why can't we just continue to throw tortillas onto the field in Lubbock? I ask you this.
I wish I'd have seen video. I'm going to go find video of that because that sounds outstanding. That's awesome.
I feel like we've talked about it from time to time. They're always
maybe we have. I just forgot about it.
The tortillas are becoming too much trouble. Like there's too much. You can't be spending this much time on tortillas. At some point, you got to just draw the line and say no tortillas, guys. It was fun, but you guys ruined it. We tried to throw tortillas, and now none of it's working. But yeah. The other thing that I think was funny this week, Wisconsin got shut out again, second straight week, right? Chris McIntosh did do the big statement, the athletic director saying, look, we're all mad. Nobody's happy, but we're going to change it, and we need to invest more financially. This also, we did a deep dive on Wisconsin last week. What people don't remember necessarily, specifically Wisconsin fans, is that Wisconsin has not been the crazy spending Big Ten school that you would have thought, right? Like they're not like Illinois that's just in debt and doesn't care, right? They are fiscally responsible. And that's part of the reason why Brett Bielema left, because he needed more money for his assistants, wasn't getting it. Gary Anderson said the same thing. Like they've always kind of done it their own way. And why wouldn't they? It worked really well for a really long time until it didn't. So apparently Hy-Vee is a proud sponsor of Wisconsin athletics. And I sent this to you guys. I don't know if you looked at it, but and when you go to Hy-Vee to get your gas, let me read this quick. If the Badgers score 28, well, here, I can just throw this up here. Everybody can take a look at this on YouTube. When the Badgers score 28 points, you earn 28 cents off your gas per gallon. 35, it's 35. 42 cents, it's 42 cents. You can save some crazy amounts of money. Eric the Red, real Eric the Red on Twitter alerted me to this one, tweeted it out, and said, thank you, Coach Fick, for yet another week of full-priced gasoline.
That's outstanding.
Things are not good in Wisconsin. Hy-Vee, by the way, did respond and say, no, we always do a 20-cent discount every Saturday when they play. So even when they play, you are still not paying full-price gasoline, but I thought that was pretty funny, and I've sent it to every Wisconsin person in my life, which is a lot.
Well, what's the drive look like for you in Minnetonka to those people in Lakeville?
Yeah, it's not very far. You're right. It's just 494 to 35. Yeah. And I go and say hi to everybody down there in Lakeville. They play Oregon, by the way, this weekend in Eugene.
You want to guess what the spread is on that game?
22.
I think it's 30. It's at least 30.
30? Ooh.
33.5 point favorites Oregon is.
Is that the largest Big Ten point spread ever? I guess Ohio State or Northwestern probably, or Purdue had some big ones. But
how about Indiana? Indiana's 25-point favorites over one of the hottest teams in ball, UCLA, the big noon game this week. That'll be interesting. 9 a.m. local time.
Is it 3 in a win or 4 in a row for UCLA? 3 in a row, right? Wow. 3 in a row.
We're even to get 5-2 Northwestern against 5-2 Nebraska in Lincoln. What do you think that spread is?
Well, I'm guessing because we can't help ourselves, Nebraska's favored by like a touchdown.
Chip?
I would say 5 points.
Nebraska by a touchdown. 7 points on the money.
Yeah. What is the Iowa Gopher spread?
Iowa is 8.5 point favorites as we sit here today. Over under is about 38. So Vegas
That's too
is
high, I
thinking
think.
something around 24-17, something like that.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. It was very similar to last week. It started at like 7, went up. It was 9.5 on DraftKings during the show, radio show yesterday. So
Wow.
maybe more money. So it's almost mirror image of last week. Started at a number, got bet way up to Iowa. Now it's starting to come back down towards the Minnesota side.
This feels like a field goal game to me. Field goal spread.
Man, we can only hope.
We'll find out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I don't have to tell any Gopher fan or you two listening to this. I know Minnesota won there last time, but Kinnick has just been a house of horrors for whatever the Gopher team is for so long. And
for so long. Yep.
So we'll find out.
Yeah, we're going multiple generations now of coaches, basically all the way back to Mace. They have not won very many times against Iowa in general.
Yep.
Because no surprise, Iowa's been good. Basically, since year 3 of the Kirk Ferentz era, Iowa has been an outstanding team. All right, Mr. Hardout's got to go. Another 90-minute show or so. We loved it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Please tell a Gopher fan friend in your life, a college football fan in your life that we are here. Please subscribe to the podcast. Please check us out on Twitter. And we will talk to you next week on the Parent of Spare podcast. Oh, by the way, go to Jack's Cafe, JAX Cafe.